watching Achievers World. Stay tuned.
For those who subscribe to the politics of integrity, equity, and conscience, they are the one that use politics as a platform to aggregate the people's energies and potentialities to create a better society for all. For a respected legislator and leader in the House, he has earned his stripe by being able to adeptly craft a beautiful melange of compassion and courage or conviction in the way he brilliantly puts forward arguments and ultimately discharge his duties. It is no surprise his name is synonymous with controversy. A consummate legislator and politician who says it as it is. His life in the Green Chamber is no doubt a genuine calling, as he has flourished beautifully in the House. FEMI GBAJABIAMILA's pedigree serves him well in the position he currently occupies and the role he now plays as a minority leader. A lawyer by profession and training and practice before his election in 2003. Our personality today is an unassuming, conscientious, and thorough politician representing Surulere Federal Constituency 1 in the House of Representatives, Federal Republic of Nigeria. We bring for your viewing delight on Achievers World with Jibola, Honourable FEMI GBAJABIAMILA. In a parliament like the Federal House of Representatives, with members from different political parties representing various interests, he reiterates on the major focus of the House since inauguration.
The focus of the House has been Nigeria and Nigerians, and we put that, on the front burner, and we've allowed that focus to determine and inform most of the decisions we make in the House till date. And that is, to me, if I want to sum it up in a nutshell, that is what I'll say is the focus of the House of Representatives. Nigeria and the best, whatever will be in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians.
An abiding faith, total and unshaking belief in Nigeria's ability to rise above its present challenges and reach great heights where everyone expects her to be, established Honourable FEMI GBAJABIAMILA's moment in the House.
But the high moment point for me was the election of the Speaker of the House. And I think records show that probably the first time in the history of the legislative arm of government, at least on the federal level, we weren't even allowed, but the House stood its ground in its determination to elect its own leadership. In spite of what we had known prior to that, quote-unquote imposition or dictating who leads the House by a separate arm of government, which is the executive. So that was the high point for me.
A low moment, huh?
Say again, low moment. Low moment for me would be, I think, the fuel crisis. There are crises erupt every now and even in more advanced democracies. There's nothing wrong with that. It's almost a sine qua non that you will have crisis and you will have conflicts. But it presented itself as a low moment. It was high in the sense that the House was able to rise to the occasion. Again, the independence of the House, which I mentioned earlier, and the focus being Nigeria. But it was a low moment for me in the sense that our efforts at the end of the day was thwarted.
You are watching Achievers World. Stay tuned.
You're a Rural Adventures, a new dawn in interior world. Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and much more. Interior beyond perfection. It's Urola's world.
Before his foray into formal politics, FEMI GBAJABIAMILA was a practicing lawyer and principal partner FEMI GBAJA & Co. legal practitioner. He recounts when he joined active politics.
It's something I've always wanted to do, because I realize that that's the only way you can actually effectively, you can participate in other ways.
Cut across to people.
Yes, really get to at least have a direct impact, as it were. That is not to say that you cannot impact on people in your own little sphere, and I encourage people to do that. But in terms of influencing policies, influencing legislation, being involved actively and directly and frontally, I think that occurred to me. Quite honestly, like I said, it's always been inherent in me. It's always been there. But I realized early, probably about 20 years ago, that even though I may try in my own little way from the sidelines, for me to have a more meaningful impact, I needed to be involved actively in partisan politics. I cannot give you a precise time, place, occurrence. It wasn't like a light bulb moment that just happened. Something just appeared to me, telling me, "Oh, Femi going to do this." There was no such moment, or no such dramatic moment, time, event, or place. It's something, like I said, that's inherent, and it's something that I've always remembered that I wanted, or known that I wanted to get involved.
In any spheres of endeavor, a strong personal conviction helps maintain the guiding philosophy of Femi GBAJABIAMILA.
Just do the right thing. Just do what you perceive to be the right thing. Just follow your heart, follow your conscience, and use your head. That's my philosophy. I've always tried my best to stand on the side of the people. Stand on the side of the people and do what I think is right and do their bidding. And no matter, whose ox is gored, you have to, in politics all over the world, and more so in Nigeria, you have to be determined. You have to be committed to your own principles. You have to be fearless, because you will step on toes, and you will not be able to do much if those are considerations that you take serious. In other words, stop stepping on toes is something that you take serious and will not frame your position. No, your position has to be framed by, one, the fear of God. It has to be framed by the wishes of the people. It has to be framed by your own knowledge and belief system, your own morals. Those are the things that should frame your position on all issues, actually. And that's been my own philosophy. But in guiding myself, you have to also listen. You have to listen to other people. And when you listen to other people, then have a general idea of
the consensus.
Of not necessarily consensus. Consensus is important, but when you listen to A, you listen to B, you listen to C, you listen to different sects, you now juxtapose all those positions with your own core belief system.
Okay.
Yes. Now, you don't have to be dogmatic. Your core beliefs, you can be flexible, but you must not sacrifice or compromise what you believe, your own belief system.
You are watching Achievers World. Stay tuned.
Rural Ventures, a new dawn in interior world. Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and much more. Interior beyond perfection. It's Urola's world.
On this station, call our outlines to air.
There ain't no point holding back the
Achiever's World. Nothing else like it.
Not one known to blow his trumpet. Honourable FEMI GBAJABIAMILA achievement since becoming a House of Reps member is worthy of emulation. He recounts his personal provisions to Jibola.
I've been in the National Assembly upwards of 10 years, about 12 years now. This is my third term. So I, at the risk of sounding vain, I cannot begin to recount the things I may have done in my
It's a normal process. It has been a normal process.
I've been doing it for upwards of 12 years. So I cannot begin to recount what I've done. But one thing I am always proud of, and I like to point amongst several things that I have done, will be the first ever of its kind in Lagos and in Nigeria, at least organized by an elected representative, which is the job fair which I organized for my constituents and the people of Lagos last year. It's called the Surulere Job Fair because I realized, the problem of unemployment when I was campaigning in 2011 and seeking for re-election. At every stop that I made to talk to people, to campaign, everybody spoke with one voice. Young, old, women, men, Yoruba, Igbo, Northerners, in my constituency, they all spoke with there was one uniform request, and that was the problem of unemployment. Now, as you know, I'm a legislator. They don't understand that. I'm a legislator and I don't employ people. I don't. That's not my job. But I guess they felt you have to, it's a problem. It's a problem. You have to deal with it for us. So I sat down and I thought about it. How best do I address this problem? I cannot go around companies knocking on doors and begging and asking for employment. Otherwise, I will not be able to sit in Abuja and do my work. So I came up with this job fair concept, which we did last year at the National Theatre. Amazing. We had about over 5,000 applicants who were looking for employment. It cost me a lot of money. I pumped my money into it, spoke to several companies. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I want to seize this opportunity to thank those companies. It was a 2-day job fair. And at the end of the day, it produced, or we were able to employ over 300 people in those 2 days. Now, why is that something I am proud of? It makes me happy because 300 might seem a small number on the scale of things and the applicants that came, over 5,000 applicants. But when you multiply, the multiplier effect is what I look at. When you multiply 300, when you assume or you look at it from a scientific point of view that each person perhaps has maybe 3-4 dependents on him or her. So when you multiply 300 by 4 or 5, basically you are taking care of 1,500 people, and that multiplier effect it gratifies me. It makes me happy, and it's something we intend to do on a yearly basis.
It has become an annual thing.
It has become an annual thing for my foundation to try and employ as many people in my capacity as a legislator as I can. We will probably, hopefully, be doing the second one for this year before the end of the year. We're working on it, and hopefully it will come to it will come to fruition before the end of the year. So, to answer your question, I have identified one thing. There's several other things which I think my constituents will be in a better position to. They're there. They're visible things. They're hospitals. They're clinics. They're classroom blocks. They're buildings. There's what we call poverty elevation. This is generally all sorts. I've done work that there's street lights. I've done work that belongs even to the local government, that is the province of the local government. It's where we find ourselves as a country. It is not my job, for instance, to clear a heap of rubbish that's been in my constituency for 5 years. It's the job of the local government. But I had to leave Abuja to go and do that, and that was years ago. And there have been several other things. And that is not to say that my local government is not working, but that's just to say that sometimes you have to assume other people's responsibilities, because it's a joint government, and that's the way people look at it. They look at it as one government.
He speaks forth on his projections 5 years from now.
My hope for where I want to be in 5 years is for where God wants me to be. I hope I am where God wants me to be in 5 years, and I don't think there can be a better hope than that. For Nigeria, I hope Nigeria will not just be mouthing the unity of Nigeria, but will be a united, progressive country. And now, being united and progressive has a lot of, there's a lot to be done. It has a lot of, there are a lot of issues that we need to address. And I hope that in 5 years' time, we'll be able to address as many of those issues as possible. There's the issue of education, there's the issue of power, there's the issue of unemployment, which I said earlier, which is a universally global issue, by the way. And I hope in 5 years' time we would have had a government that has only one purpose in mind, a sincerity of purpose for the welfare, the security, the advancement of the people that he governs.
Born in Lagos on the 25th of June 1962 to the late Lateef Ayodele and Funke GBAJABIAMILA of Olowo, he is happily married with beautiful kids. Honourable FEMI GBAJABIAMILA's political profile has continued to grow in stature, mainly on the strength of his work and the quality of his mind. With a career built on the value of equity and justice, and service to both his constituency and the nation, his star can only rise. The host of the program, Jibola, cannot but honor this distinguished member of the House of Rep. Gbajabiamila.
You're a